Welcome, everyone. It is Buffalo Fanatics Film Session live with Clay Troya and Kendall Mursky. I'm Clay Troya, and that's...
Kendall Mursky. Thanks. I like that lead in. That's new.
yeah. We're going to try it out. We're going to see how it goes. Thank you for joining us here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. Show here sponsored by NordVPN. Let's talk about that game a little bit. I mean, that was like the game that I feel like we've been waiting to see for the entire season. And so going through, I mean, did you get to watch the game live this time, or did you have to go back and watch it on replay? So in that case, when you went back and you watched it after knowing what happened, what did you see? What did you like? And what kind of was your focus when you were going back into it?
Well, firstly, you said that was the game that we were all waiting to see. It felt a lot like the Seahawks game last year, where last year we got away with just, subpar defensive play and then just stellar offense for the first 10 weeks. And then finally we got that complete game against the Seahawks, defense and offense, putting it together. And that's exactly what we got against the Washington football team in week 3. And boy, am I excited to have it happen in week 3 versus week 10, get both sides of the ball working in unison and just really feeding off one another. It was great. But when I went back to watch the game, as great as the defense played, now I'm saying this without watching all 22, as great as the defense played, I couldn't pull a lot of clips of the defense because it felt like the secondary was doing so much in this game. There wasn't a specific player that popped for me on the defensive line in terms of pass rush. I just felt like the secondary was doing a great job, getting Heineke off his first read and not, really second guessing himself and obviously forcing a ton of turnovers that way. So I ended up focusing a lot more on offense with the players that I pulled for this film session. I loved how the offense was clicking in this game. It just seemed like everything worked.
Yeah, that's fair. And, all 22 did just come out. So I just watched it before, tried to get as much time into that all 22 as I could. And on the defensive side, it was a lot of coverage and just really good coverage. And taking away Taylor Heineke's first read was just brutal for him. If he didn't have someone there, he started to panic a little bit. He's an athletic guy, so he could run around a little bit, and he made some good plays on his feet. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But definitely that offense was just rolling, and that was really good to see, especially because we had the slow start. To see Josh kick it into gear like we know that he can and really hit that stride was really refreshing, especially because I think this defense is playing better than they did last year.
Oh, yeah.
So far through the season anyway. We haven't really played any good offenses, any kind of high caliber offenses yet. So it remains to be seen if we're able to keep this up going into, once we get to week 5 there and we got to play a good offense for the first time. But nevertheless, very exciting to see everybody put it together. For everyone here in the chat, we got 22 people so far. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Don Handsome, Logan, Bills fan 1970, Mr. Diggs, familiar face, Zachary King as well, Ronald Ringer, Matthew Montgomery, another familiar face. Thank you guys for all joining in here and hopping into the comments section. If anyone has a comment throughout the show, feel free to put it out there. If you have a comment that you really want us to see, don't forget that you guys can super chat, and that'll bring it right to our attention, and we'll bring it up right away for you. And that helps out a lot. All right. So, I know that I was able to get the all 22 into a video very quickly. I literally just exported it right before the show. So I've got my clips in all 22, and then you've got your clips in regular view. Who do you want to start with here? Who do you want to go first?
Well, my first question has to be, is do you have like your MVP with all 22 clips?
I do have my MVP with all 22
Then let's
clips, yeah.
start with you.
All right. Okay. We're gonna do that then, and I'll pull mine up here. So my MVP for the game was Matt Milano, and there were a couple different guys that I could have picked, and I wanted to pick someone on the defensive side because they just played such a good game. I think if I had had all 22 sooner, I might have gone with Micah Hyde, because Micah Hyde also had a really good game, and being able to watch through and see just how good he was on the back end of the defense, he was amazing. So, but I decided to go with Milano because Milano also made a few really key plays, and he's just flying all over the field, doing everything he needs to do. We're going to start out with this first play here. And this was kind of right off the bat, just something to get him started, where he was just this was earlier in the game, and the aggression here to stop the run, to come up, he meets the offensive lineman, pushes him away, fights through the contact, and then hits the running back in the backfield here. This is like, Milano's not that big of a guy,
No,
and
he's
for
not.
him to very aggressively attack that guard like that, who's trying to come to the next level to stop him, and then get into the backfield enough to disrupt the path of Antonio Gibson, who thinks he's got a lane there too, based on what he sees. He thinks he can get up there, but Matt Milano just completely destroys that block and blows that play up right from the start. And good on Russo for being able to get around there too, and help out just to make sure the play works out. But yeah, Matt Milano really, really made a good job filling the gap here on this one.
This is Matt Milano's MO. He's just so tenacious and persistent at the point of attack. Like, he just never gives up. You never see this man quit on a play. And you can see that offensive lineman get his hands on him, but he's just scrapping his way into the backfield. And that's what he does on a regular basis. And it's nice to see him do it against a player like Antonio Gibson, who really had some nice plays in this game, despite the Bills keeping a lid on that Washington offense. Antonio Gibson was the player that really went off for them. And I mean, this is a great play to stay in front of a shifty yet pretty powerful running back. So I really like his ability to finish the play on the back end, obviously with the help of group, but also to force him even further outside with that penetration on the offensive line.
Yeah, and not to mention, when he gets to the point of contact with this offensive guard, there's really no one behind. If Antonio Gibson's able to hit that gap, he's got quite a lane to run, especially since you've got a blocker over here, and you've really only got one free guy, and that's Micah Hyde on the back end there. So he makes one guy miss after that, and that could be a pretty big play. So yeah, this was just one of those plays where it's just that freak athleticism shows up for Matt Milano, and he just makes the play.
Yeah, it's that safety coming out in him.
Moving on to this next one here, I wanted to do a little bit of pass coverage too, because he was really good in pass coverage when I was able to see all of it. And this was probably his biggest one of the day. It's third down here, third and about 6, I think. And he makes a nice pass breakup. I think I got the other angle. Here it is. He makes a really nice pass breakup. He's playing zone. He keeps his head on a swivel. He took a glance over a second ago to make sure he's got that guy coming into his zone. And look at the time that it takes him to react on this whip route, because this wideout's going to stop and go back toward the middle again. And he sees it so fast and is able to react to it so fast. And that's really hard, because this is a type of route where you think he's going to go out. But I think more than anything, Matt Milano does a really good job of reading the quarterback's eyes here. And he sees where that quarterback is looking based on where that wide receiver is. He knows he's got the receiver coming into his zone, but he's seeing eyes right in the middle and not over here, which is where that ball would be getting thrown if he was just running right through that zone. So he plants and it never really gets caught on that route there, and makes a really nice close to make sure he bats that ball away.
Yeah, you spoke about it that whole time. The timing aspect of this is really just great from him. He doesn't overcommit to that deep cross route that it looks like it is right off the bat by Humphreys. And if he kind of kept running with him to Milano's right, then, I'm sure he would have cut it off even sooner. If he tries to break in on that route, then he just keeps going on the deep crosser route. I'm sure there's some sort of an option build onto that route by Humphreys. And because Milano was so patient with the route and kind of let it come to him, and then, like you said, the reactive athleticism to make the play on the ball once, you see that Heineke's pulling the trigger, it's just great. It's just, this is what you like to see from your outside linebacker, especially our guy that is a converted safety, like I just mentioned earlier, like it really comes out in his play. And to see this coupled with how he plays at the line of scrimmage, it's just the best of both worlds. He's such a complete linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a super chat here talking about a different linebacker. Thank you, Logan, for the super chat. Some of Bill's Mafia sees Tremaine as an underperformer. I don't. Can you explain why he's an asset and not a detriment? Thank you for the very complex word at the end there that I actually had to look at and really read there. But yeah, so I mean, you're also a big Tremaine Edmonds fan, and we did a really long film session early on with Tremaine Edmonds because we really wanted to kind of squash that narrative that he's not a good linebacker and he's not productive. And I think the biggest thing that I'll say about Tremaine is he does a lot of things. So first of all, he gets a lot of tackles, he makes a lot of good plays. His stats really are not bad. If you go and take a look at, the average depth of tackle, the amount of tackles that he has, they're really not bad numbers at all. And I think the reason why people think he's an underperformer is because everyone expected him to be better and everyone expected him to be Luke Kuechly. Which, I also thought he would be better, and I'm a little sad that he's not, but I think just because he's not like a total superstar, like an obvious number one middle linebacker in the league, he's not, that doesn't mean that he's bad. He's still a very good linebacker. He's still, a top half, probably top 15 linebacker in the league. So I think that's probably why Bills Mafia sees it that way so much, is because they have these, these bias glasses on them.
I will 100% echo that. It's all about managing expectations with Edmonds. It's hard to do that when he's a number one or a first round draft pick, especially one that we traded up for after trading up for Josh Allen. It's tough. It's tough to manage those expectations, especially with a guy that's so exciting, with so much upside. But he definitely has room to grow. But with that said, he still is more than adequate in plenty of areas. He just manages to find himself on the bad side of some ugly reps. And that'll happen to every player now and again. It's just about limiting them. And I think that's the name of the game for Edmonds at this point. If he starts to limit them more, I think, that narrative will quiet off. And if he starts to make some of those flashy plays like him and Frazier were talking about in the preseason and the offseason, that narrative is gone. It's absolutely gone. And I actually pulled a play for Edmonds so we can talk about it at the end. So it's a minor play, but it kind of speaks to the point that I'm getting at, where it's like, yeah, he's not everything we want him to be, but there's flashes of it every now and again. We've seen some flashes this year. He's definitely playing better this year than he did at the start of last year.
Definitely. And he's big and athletic too, and that helps his case as well. But he can move sideline to sideline on the field, and he can make a break for the football and take the right line to get there. So I'm not mad at all about the way that he's playing. And yeah, some people are talking about him in coverage. He has struggled in coverage at times, but it's against really good tight ends and wide receivers a lot of the time. And he's just too big and cumbersome to be able to cover those guys. Anyway, let's move back to Matt Milano here. We got one more play for Matt before we move on here. And this was the play that it kind of sealed the deal, really. It was a 4th and 1 toward the end of the game a little bit. I mean, the game was pretty much over at this point anyway, but I just really like this play because, initially the offensive or the defensive line does a really good job of stuffing Taylor Heinicke up the middle on the QB sneak here. But then Matt Milano with the patience to not crash in immediately, but he kind of hangs out outside a little bit, waits a second, sees that he's trying to pop outward and puts him in the grass, which is just really good awareness and really good patience, especially on a play like a QB sneak where you just want to dive in on the pile and push it back. He was able to stay patient knowing that he was the outside guy. And I mean, Levi might have been able to make this play if Matt Milano didn't, but Taylor Heinicke's a super athletic dude. And if he's able to get outside there, he might have been able to make something happen. So this was just a really good play from Milano here.
Yeah, you broke that down really well. There's not much for me to add to it. It's just really great to see how he navigates through the trash with his hands, stays patient, all those things like you said. It really well broken down. It was a great play by him and great breakdown by you there, Clay. It was just all around, really. That was good stuff.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But yeah, great wrap up tackle too here. I think Milano's one of the better tacklers on the team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to your MVP now.
Yeah, let's see if I can remember how to control the video here, second time on the job. All right. So my guy is Zach Moss. Anyone who knows me well enough knows that I stand this guy to the end of time. Clay, I think we've talked about it before. I'm over here saying Zach Moss is RB1. You're over there.
I'm more of a Singletary man myself.
It's okay. Everyone's got their own little flavor of the running back position.
They're both good. They're both
good. It's just they're both good in different ways. And this is why I like having both of them, because there are certain games where you need one skill set versus the other. And I think this is a week where we didn't really need the wiggle from Singletary. Singletary can hit the hole with decisiveness, but Zach Moss does it at the next level. He really is a one-cut runner. He will show wiggle every now and again, but he's a one-cut runner, and he likes to get downhill after that first cut and just, get his nose dirty. That's what he does. He likes to fall forward and get the length of his body extra yards after contact. And that's what he did all game, because I think the Washington football team did a good job. They did a good job with their run fills, and it really forces the running back to just be decisive and hit that hole. Get as many yards as you can, because you're not really going to get many more unless you're really an elite athlete. And we know the Bills don't have elite running backs. They have above average running backs that can get the job done in tandem. And that's what they did this week. So really, this is the first play that I just, oh my God, this play from Zach Moss, I love this play because it showed, like I was saying earlier, he's that one cut downhill guy, but he has a little bit of wiggle. And you can see it on this play. Beautifully executed angle route, sets up the linebacker as if he's running to the left flat, and then breaks it inside of him, catches the ball nicely and plants his foot in the ground, gets upfield. Decisiveness falls forward. He gets those extra yards. He's physical at the point of contact, and he just gets the yards that's there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach Moss's ability to catch the ball out of the backfield is underrated, if anything.
Very.
Because he's a really, really good receiver. He's got great hands. He can work the sideline well. And like this, he can catch over the middle and then make a little move and get extra yards after, shed that one tackle and get you some extra yards. And yeah, I also wanted to comment on this. But this comment here by Matthew Montgomery, and it's like we're taking that New England approach. We can win games with a few average running backs. Play the hot hand a little bit. But yeah, this was a really good rep from him, and this was actually one that I was looking at because I knew that you picked Moss as your MVP, and I was like, I think he's going to put that one in.
Oh, for sure.
it's just a really good play and shows that athleticism out there.
Yeah, it's the next level of what Zach Moss is. He's not just the goal line back, short yardage back. He's got some well-roundedness to his game. So does Singletary. They're both very well-rounded, but they got some jagged edges in different places, and they both fit together very well. God, this Wi-Fi thing, it's something else. All right, so next play here, more of the same. I really like this play because it shows balance there. You see him kind of struggle to get out of his break a little bit, and he has to kind of reset up his route, and he just ends up running a whip route. I don't know what this was meant to be at the beginning. I don't know what it was drawn up to be. Probably just a simple out route, if I had to guess, just kind of get outside that right tackle and then go up the field and get outside of the linebacker. He kind of stumbles and has to improvise, and it works out because he improvised the same time Josh Allen did, and it worked out perfectly for us.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny play to watch, knowing that like kind of everything just went wrong, and Josh just turns and goes, "Oh, there's Zach. I'm just going to give him the ball." Really, I mean, Josh could have even run the ball in himself here, but yeah, it ended up being a pretty good route by Moss. That little stumble might have helped him out for the better there, and then yeah, he's able to kind of stick his foot in the ground and go back outside and catch that ball and get in the end zone.
Yeah, he shows more. This was actually something he showed very early in his rookie season too. He didn't do a lot on the ground, but he did catch a couple of touchdown passes in similar plays like this, just kind of leaking out at the right time, and Josh found him. If he has that kind of connection with Josh on these little simple improvised checkdowns, there's yards to be had there, and this is something we've talked about for multiple weeks now. We'd like to see Josh Allen take what's there And this is something that's there regularly because defenses are afraid of the deep threat on this offense because there's a lot of them. So it's nice to see that Moss can add to that group of weapons. So I didn't, obviously the first 2 plays I showed passing. So I just ripped off one of his runs. I think this was his longest run of the day. And it really speaks to what I spoke to before showing any plays. Just the decisiveness, the vision, hitting the hole hard, one cut, downhill. You just stick your nose in there, get dirty, and fall forward the length of your body, get the yards that are there. It's a 9-yard run. It's nothing crazy special. Most of this was built by the Bills O-line and then him just making a nice cut, trusting his eyes and getting upfield quickly. That's really all that this run is. But it's really the style of running that really gets me going. I like seeing this kind of running. I think it's because it's exactly what I wasn't when I was a football player. I was the shifty one that would try to make you miss. I like seeing guys that just gets the yards that are there, no nonsense, and they'll fall forward and get you 2 to 3 after contact. I really like this run.
Yeah, I agree. I love running the running downhill aspect. This is how I used to play when I ran the ball because I wasn't quick enough to do anything else. I was like 170 pounds, and I said I'm just going to try to run through you anyway. But yeah, I like this run. It's a great block from Morse, who also had a good game. But yeah, the one cut and just get downfield I just love that. That's Singletary can dance a little bit, and I think his one of his bigger criticisms was he was dancing too much at times, which I think he's improved upon. But this is even better still than what Singletary can do now with that like one cut and just get going full speed as fast as you can.
Exactly. And we saw that actually towards the tail end of the game, Singletary had to start leaning into that kind of running style because he wasn't having success, like kind of being patient behind the line of scrimmage and waiting for a hole to open up. You just have to take what the Washington defense gives you because they're good. They have a good front. And that's exactly why I think Zach Moss worked more than Singletary this week because he was just a hair more decisive and more physical with his downhill running style. And it just churned out enough yards. And that's all the Bills running game needs to do. Just needs to churn out enough yards and keep the Bills on schedule with the down and distance.
Right. The run game doesn't have to be high volume or get a ton of yards or anything like that. It just has to be effective for what it's used for. And that is to keep people honest, keep the linebackers honest on whether it's going to be pass or not. That's essentially all that they're trying to do, and to make those play actions work a little bit better.
Exactly.
And so if we can have those effective runs like that, whenever someone gets the ball, then that helps open up the offense so much more. Exactly. Someone in the chat here, Mr. Diggs here, talking about how hard Moss is hitting this season specifically. Yeah. And I'd agree with that. I think he's hitting a lot harder than we've seen him before. I know last season he came in and, he was all he's a business decisions guy. You got to decide whether you want to tackle him.
Didn't see much of that.
Yeah, we didn't really see any of that. So it's good to see that he's coming out. He actually hurt a guy last week.
Right, in the Dolphins game, yeah.
Yeah, he really is now a business decisions guy. Like you can choose to hit him or maybe you want to try not to or try something else. So it's good to see that he's starting to hit people now.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's move on here. And this is an interesting one because this is my biggest surprise, and it's John Feliciano. And it's not even because John Feliciano had like a good game. He didn't really have like a good game. He was like okay. But I think that was still like a big surprise for me. Because
all about managing expectations.
I know, because going into this game, I'm thinking like, well, I mean, Feliciano against that's Jonathan Allen
or Daron Payne.
Yeah. So they have a good defensive line, and even their outside guys are good too. So if they do any kind of switch moves where their outside guys are coming in, so this was one where I was a little bit worried and thinking maybe we would see kind of a repeat of what we saw in week 1 from Feliciano, but we didn't. And I put a few plays in here. I put one play in here that's just kind of a litmus test, really a baseline for a lot of the reps that we saw. But I also put in his best reps from the day because he did have some good reps as well. I'm going to start. I'm on the wrong screen. I'm on the wrong screen when I hit it.
I'm learning too.
Yeah. So anyway, starting out with this one, this was a good run block. And the reason that I liked it is because it's just a really nice reach block. And I appreciate a good reach block because it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
He gets a little bit of help from Deion Dawkins here to push him in, but he gets around him really nice and really opens up that outside for Zach Moss to run loose here. So it was just one of those plays where it's a really tough block. I mean, look at the alignment from when they start. He's reach blocking this guy, all the way out here. So the athleticism to get out there, plus Deion Dawkins did do a good job of giving him a little bit of a helping hand right there. And then, to be able to turn those shoulders and those hips and keep him behind you, I just thought that was really impressive.
No, it definitely was. That was almost a wide 9 alignment. I will say what is interesting. There's a couple things I have to say about this. What's interesting is number 96 definitely takes his first step inside.
Yep.
And it certainly helps Feliciano get to that reach block. But it's funny because this is something the Bills tried to do a lot last year. They tried to run this stretch outside zone running game, and it wouldn't work. But we see right here what can happen if that left guard can get that reach block, and then the left tackle can go and seal off the linebacker. You see Dawkins climb to hit 53 right there.
Yep.
And it's a clear lane. He doesn't have, Moss doesn't have to have the speed to get out to the edge because he can get inside the slot receiver Beasley and break it upfield and then, get downhill like we just talked about. So it's really interesting to see this work because we heard Feliciano wanted to lose some weight this season, and he wasn't prompted to do that by coaches. It was on him. He just felt like he needed to get a little bit quicker. Maybe it was for this outside stretch zone running scheme that they're seemingly persistent on running. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like I said, 96 did help him by, jumping inside off of his wide technique. But still, there's something to be said about, being a little bit more mobile. And, the way he got beat up by Cam Hayward with power, like this is where we see the positive side to that,
Right.
So it's all very interesting. It's nice to see it work out positively, and hopefully we can continue to reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, the whole getting beat with power thing too. I think that was something that concerned a lot of people, and then those concerns were vilified in week 1, and so there are benefits to him being lighter. It's just maybe beating Cam Hayward isn't one of those things.
No, that's not going to show up there.
This was another good rep from him though, and really this one it ends up not being anything. I can't remember. It's just because the other half of the line didn't do their job really, or Dawson Knox, didn't do his job. And it was a good defensive play call. But anyway, I really liked what he was doing on this play. If we just ignore everything else that's going on, this was probably his best get off of the day, really his best start. So that's why I put it in here, because I was just really impressed with.
Is that Jonathan Allen also?
I think it is, yeah.
It's impressive.
So I mean, he gets off really fast against this big, strong guy, and he's able to press him off and lift him up a little bit. And I was just impressed with it. That was his best start of the day, to be able to drive him back a yard or two there. I don't think we saw him do that at any other point. So I wanted to throw that in there just to give a little bit of a he doesn't always lose those kinds of reps. He can get the leverage, he can get down, and he can drive guys up when he wants to.
Yeah, he really got to the point of attack quickly. He got to Allen before Allen even got out of his stance there, and you can see because of that foot quickness and that quickness off the line of scrimmage, he won that rep. Yeah, decidedly. It is a shame. Yeah, this is a mix of just good play call on the defensive side and just kind of fortuitous play call on the defensive side, because we're kind of flowing left and hoping Knox can get across and get to Chase Young quick enough.
Yeah,
and I don't even know if he's the one who wrecked this play necessarily, because Singletary still had to come across for the handoff. That was Morse got beat too a little bit there.
Yeah, 31 gets through. He's playing a really good kind of linebacker position from a safety, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's the initial guy that blows up the play because he's a crazy athlete. I think the lane is supposed to end up being between these two, or the cut back, or the cut out. But nothing's there, unfortunately. Diggs, I think, is probably the guy that was supposed to get 31, but he was too far in. But yeah,
it's tough. 31 read that quick.
He did. That was a good play. That was like Jordan Poyer-esque.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's another good play, and this is another show of his athleticism, and kind of that another one that's like, the weight loss might have helped out with this one. And this is just a nice athletic play. We saw a couple plays of of him doing this. And when he pulls on that kind of trap block like this, he's really good at it. That's one of the things he really excels at. And, of course, the goal is to be hitting a guy that's not prepared to be hit. But he gets there really fast when he does it, to the point where it's like that guy wasn't ready to be hit because he got there so quick. So it knocks him over too, which is always fun. He knocked over a guy earlier on a rep like that as well in this game. So it's just good. It's good to see him kind of win these reps a little bit, because we give him a lot of crap. And he deserves it a lot of the time, because there's a lot of times he gets his ass beat. But he does have moments where he's kind of excelling like this, and we need to recognize those as well.
Yeah, it's certainly why he got paid. That's why the Bills want to retain him. You don't want to take the chance and try on an unknown commodity relative to what this team is. He knows the system, and the Bills know what they can get from him. I got to say, this is an interesting play call, though. It looks like a double trap with the wham block from the tight end too, and then Force replaces Dawkins, and Dawkins goes outside for the tight ends assignment.
It feels more so like we should be going up the middle. Singletary probably should be going up the middle a little bit more, but because Sweeney gets met kind of right in the hole, he bounces it outside, which isn't a terrible thing either.
That's the decisiveness that I was talking about, though. And like you said, it's gotten better. Like, I understand. Yeah, maybe the designed run gap is right along the left hash is right there. Right. But hey, if you're decisive and you stick your foot in the ground, you're going to get 4 yards, and I'm pretty sure he got like 7 or 8 on this run.
Yeah, he got a decent gain. This is solid run play. I would take this if he ran the ball like this every play. He got the ball, I'd be very pleased, because that's a good play there. So but the decisiveness to find that open space, you're right, and then just go. He might have been able to cut back up into the middle, cut around Sweeney. If we kind of watch it slowly, he might have been able to cut up into there. It would have been really tight, but
he might as well take what you can get at that point.
He already had the momentum going in that direction, so why not, really? Anyway, let's watch that baseline play. And I put this in here specifically. I know there's a 4th play, so I'm cheating, but I wanted to put this in here because this is what most of the reps looked like. This is maybe a little bit on the better side of what most of his reps look like, but I went through and watched all of his reps against Jonathan Allen, and this is what most of them looked like for the most part. And once again, this is not a great rep, but it's very bend and don't break, which is I'll take from Feliciano at this point, especially against a good interior defensive lineman like this. If we can do a bend but don't break, that's fine with me. And that's, sometimes he'd get in a little bit closer to Josh by the time Josh is getting the ball out. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 times it led to Josh getting knocked down, but really for the most part, this is what the average rep between him and Jonathan Allen looked like, which I'm completely fine with. If this is what the average rep looks like, that's completely manageable.
Yeah, he definitely lost a little bit of ground there, probably like 2 to 3 yards into the backfield. But hey, being able to anchor in front of where Josh Allen's drop is supposed to go to, that's all that counts. As long as he can anchor at some point and he's not completely giving up ground consistently every half second, he's getting a little bit closer to Josh Allen. That's not what you want. So you can see at a certain point, he really starts to stand him up, and that's what counts. And that's what allows Josh to make the throw that he made.
Right. Yeah. And luckily, we've got a quarterback that can make fast reads, get the ball out fast, and if he's in trouble, he can escape. So
also a big guy that can take hits and is willing to take hits.
Right. And he's able to stand in the pocket until there's a guy right up in his face like that. So it all works out. If it was a different quarterback, I'd probably be more upset about the way that Feliciano's blocking. But because of all the circumstances and the playbook and everything and our ability to get the ball out this fast, it's okay. It's manageable for him to be blocking like this.
I agree.
All right. Let's move on and see who you got up next now.
All right. So this is kind of my biggest surprise I guess we're just going to call it my biggest surprise because I don't really know what else to call it. But Dawson Knox is consistently performing, and it's surprising me. Like, I still had faith in him, but I think a lot of people were more on the side of, I don't know if this is ever going to come from this guy. And I got to say, he's outperforming so far this season. He's outperforming what a 3rd round draft pick should be doing. I mean, it's a little bit late for him to be budding like this. I mean, he's a tight end, so I guess he's got that built-in excuse. But this is 3 straight weeks, guys, where he's going to be. I think Kyle from Napnose Buffalo has been tweeting about it. I'm pretty sure Knox is on pace for like 8 touchdowns, 600 yards.
Yeah, he's got a good
I'm
pace
pretty
right now.
sure most people were setting their threshold at like 5 touchdowns and 500 yards, and
Yeah.
he's already on pace for more. So, yeah, let's just watch this play because I mean, let's be honest, this play was beautiful. You see him line up on the outside and just full extend, make a catch like that. That's beautiful. You don't expect this from all tight ends. But what's beautiful about Dawson Knox is that he can play in line, he can play detached from the line of scrimmage like this, he can play in the backfield, kind of be a pseudo fullback. But when you have him lined up against a linebacker like this out wide, you got to throw that back shoulder fade. And the fact that he's coming down with this is just the cherry on top of his development. It's really just a great play. I know the whole offseason, we've kind of just been talking about the fact that this guy is making all of these kind of catches, but not the easy ones. But hey, if he's making these kind of catches, he can drop an easy one here or there. I just don't want him to drop as many as he has in the past. But this play is something else, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah, I agree. And, this is one of those plays where if you can have a guy like that on the outside line up and in the red zone, you can say, I can give my guy a chance and he can catch it. That's such a big plus to have in the red zone for a quarterback. It's such a nice safety blanket, especially because he's probably going to get matched up against linebackers more often than not who don't know how to play the ball in the air as well, which is what happens here. So a nice soft little push off keeps the arms in so that it's not seen as much.
Yeah, it was quick
Soft push off, and then it goes out full extension and makes the tough catch, which he has shown that he can do when he doesn't have any time to think about it and he just has to do. He does pretty well. So yeah, this was a really, really nice catch, and just to stay in bounds and be able to get that knee and elbow down before going out of bounds too. Really, really, really nice to see.
I was so nervous that that left hand touched out of bounds before his left knee went down when I was watching this. I was in the middle of working when I saw this play, and I was like, I think his left hand went down. I wouldn't be shocked if this goes back. But they couldn't unconfirm that. There wasn't anything substantial. I got to say, it's kind of crazy that he didn't have his mouth guard in on that one, considering his consistency and concentration issues. I feel like that would have rattled someone like him. But no, he's fine. He's fine. All right, so this next one here, very simple, but this is kind of the other side of what I was just talking about, like the top end play from Dawson Knox. This is the consistency where it's like you just got to make the easy play, guy. Just you don't have to be Mr. Travis Kelce making 20-yard grabs and run after the catch into the end zone every play. You just got to make the catch, get the first down, and keep the sticks moving. And that's what he does on this play. I talked about how last play he was detached from the offensive line. Here you see him attached to the offensive line on the right side, and he just does a nice little deep over ball, makes it easy for Josh Allen to see him right in between the guards, and he just settles in the middle of the zone. The understanding of how to beat a zone is what this offense is predicated on. This passing offense is completely predicated on beating zone because people like to rush 4 and drop 7 against us, and it's easier to do that in zone than it is man. And the Bills like to beat that. You see Beasley settle into the zone underneath Knox, and Knox settles right behind that. And it opens up an easy lane and an easier read for Josh to go through a simple progression where it's just really a high-low over the linebackers.
Yeah, and on the end zone angle too, this is one of the ones where I did wish we had the end zone angle, because on this one you can see it's okay. On this one you can see he just kind of curls right around that outside linebacker there to sit in that zone and get in Josh's vision, which, like you said, is just knowing how to play in a zone, which is so big in this offense, to just be able to find that empty spot and get in your quarterback's vision. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. You find the space, you get to the sticks, catch the ball, and maybe if you can get some yards after you can, he gets tackled here. But yeah, I mean, this is what you want Dawson Knox to be, absolutely, like you said. So I'm glad to see. I would love to see 2 or 3 catches a game just like this.
And I'll cue it up for you. The next one is very similar. It's just understanding zones and where to be when attacking these zones. And you see, because of the play action fake, he's just kind of running the seam, and he gets behind the linebackers and turns his head quickly for Josh, makes himself available, and he gets the easy, I believe this is like a 14-yard completion. And it looked really easy. 14-yard completions aren't supposed to be that easy. It looks like it's more than 14 yards. It's like 19. But that's what I mean. Like, this isn't really an easy play. You think 19-yard reception, that's not supposed to be easy. But because the running game was going the way it was, it draws the linebackers in, and Dawson Knox makes himself available quickly to Josh and gets that first down, keeps the chains moving, does what a tight end needs to be, and he's a safety blanket. And if he can develop into the safety blanket that isn't Cole Beasley, this offense is going to take a whole new step.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because what he can do after the ball, whereas Beasley most of the time is just going to fall over if he
avoid contact.
is approaching contact, which, good for him. He's old and small, so I don't blame him at all.
I don't at all.
But yeah, by the way, this is one of my favorite offensive plays of all time. Just the little kind of seam pop pass is one of my out of play action is so good. You do the little play action fake as quarterback, you whip your head around, and if you see those linebackers up, you just kind of put it right over the top of them. I love this play. And yeah, for Dawson to get through, get his eyes back to the quarterback, knowing that he's going to probably get the ball on this play, and then just, catch the ball and make one guy miss even still and get closer to the goal line. So, yeah, if he's able to be a guy where he can get the ball in his hands more often, it's just going to be that much more dangerous of a football team.
Yeah, like you said, he is very dangerous with the ball in his hands, despite, the lack of getting the ball in his hands. He really is. He is a weapon on this offense if we can unlock it. And I think that's really what the whole concern around Dawson Knox has been. It's just been unlocking it. But we're getting there. Baby steps, guys. We're getting there.
He has time to develop. Tight ends are never good when they're rookies, when they're second. It doesn't matter who the
Kyle
tight end
Pitts
is.
doesn't look that great right now.
No,
he's
Kyle
doing
Pitts
some flashy things here and there, but there's no consistency to his game yet.
Yeah, no tight end comes out into the league and is just amazing. I mean, TJ Hawkinson, he was bad when he came out. Like great. he wasn't that good. Noah Fant, he didn't really do anything either.
They might have flashed a little bit faster than Knox, but what you're saying is it's true. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then also Knox was a later round pick. So, he wasn't getting past the ball in college. Give him some time to develop. It's okay. He's fine. We don't have to worry about it. Anyway, let's move on here to kind of just someone that I wanted to spotlight. Neither of us picked an LVP this week, and that's because it was a blowout. I mean, who we gonna pick? Deion Dawkins, he didn't play that bad.
We could have bashed on like Singletary's bad runs because he had a couple like 1 to 2 yard runs, but like that's how nitpicky it would have been to pick an LVP because Singletary didn't play bad. It was just bad play calling at bad times. It's not like it wasn't even bad play calling. It's just unlucky play calling. It was tough to pick an LVP. I like that we're a little fluid with the rules here.
Yes, yeah, and also it's in games like this. Why pick an LVP?
There's no reason to be negative.
Yeah, in the games that we lose and someone's getting beat down, we're gonna do it. But in situations like this, let's just pick people that we want to talk about. And for me, it's Justin Zimmer, and that's because I love Justin Zimmer because he's just a workhorse. I think he's a fan favorite type of guy. And it's really just the effort and the motor for him that I love so much. And that's what most of these plays are, is effort and motor and athleticism. The dude is so fast for being an interior defensive lineman. But yeah, just look at on this one, the way he's facing the double team. The center comes over to help. He's almost triple teamed at one point because Addison kind of runs over to where he's at, but just for him to stay with the play for so long as he did here, get in the face, that's fine. I'm going to try to work through it. He gets his hand in the throwing lane and keeps his eyes in the backfield so that when Heineke does decide to bail out, he's able to go and run with him and force him to throw the ball instead of allowing him to run with it, which really that's probably what Heineke would have done here. I mean, maybe he can get past Addison here, maybe not, but the athleticism and the awareness for Zimmer to get outside and close off that option completely was just really good here, and I was a big fan of it.
Yeah, it's the athleticism, it's the motor, it's all those things you said. Mixing them all together creates just a special type of football player. It's like that's why like JJ Watt is what JJ Watt is, because he's an amazing athlete, but you couple that with an amazing motor that never shuts off, you're going to get plays like this, these effort plays that just pop on tape, because he starts on the left side of the formation and he's the guy that's closest to the quarterback as he slides out to the right of the pocket. So yeah, it's the athleticism, it's the motor, it's all of it. Zimmer there's a reason he's a fan favorite, and it's plays like these.
Yeah, absolutely. Mario Addison also showing off the wheels on this one, starting on the backside end position. Yeah. And I didn't know he was this fast, honestly, looking at, because I know Zimmer's fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Heineke's fast, but he's moving pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, good on Addison for being able to keep up with that one as well. But yeah, the motor is really something that just you can talk about endlessly with a guy like Zimmer. Here's another play where he's facing the double team again. Nothing's really going on, but he stays with it. And there ends up being an interception on this play because he stayed with it and got in the quarterback's face. And that can happen sometimes if you just keep going and keep trying to fight through. So I mean, right here he's being double teamed, and then the center can just take him by himself after that. But he keeps fighting. He ends up breaking through, ripping down, and now he's got a clear line to the quarterback with Terry McLaurin standing there saying, "Hey, I'm wide open." Little does he know that Jordan Poyer is back there waiting to make a nice little play on the ball here. So because he's forced to throw the ball here, because if he doesn't, he's going to take a licking from Justin Zimmer. He throws to the guy that he thinks is open, and Jordan Poyer makes a really nice play reading that ball from that further back zone coverage on the sideline there to come up for that one. So yeah, just one of those plays where, he's not going to show up in the stats for it at all, like the last play, but he in the end is the guy that forced this throw, which eventually was an interception. So another one of those plays where never giving up can help you out.
I'm so happy to have all 22 again.
I know.
I'm so nice. Happy because we would have just seen this play on broadcast. Yeah. It would have been cool. Zimmer got some pressure and it forced an interception. But now we get to see what Poyer did on the back end to also force the interception as much as Zimmer did. So yeah, I don't know. I'm over here. I'm geeking out over all 22, but it's nice to have it back.
Yeah, I mean, Gibson also is accidentally wide open down the field. So if you saw that, then maybe we're in trouble because Levi says, "Hey, they're switching. Let's switch." And then he's like, "Oh shit, no, let's not switch."
Yeah, that's a tough throw to make under pressure. You got to really step into that one.
He never would have been able to make the throw, but it ends up being interesting because
you're
Poyer,
right.
I don't even know if Poyer, I think he's assigned to this kind of flat curl area over here anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just a really good job to sit on it and read the quarterback there and let Levi worry about all that stuff over top. There are bigger and better things to do, like intercept the ball and get chased down by Terry McLaurin.
I'm surprised you said that Micah Hyde was the guy in all 22 that you wanted to pick. Poyer was mine if I had all 22 in time.
Yeah, I mean Poyer played both of the safeties are just so good, but Micah Hyde for me was just he was always in the right place at the right time, and he was shutting down. He was shutting down the first read at times, playing over top. So yeah, I just thought they're both so good. We're so blessed to have these two safeties. Anyway, this is the last Justin Zimmer play. This one's all about power on this one, which I love to see because it's he's a smaller dude, being that undersized defensive lineman on the interior is always it's always a challenge. So this one, he kind of just blows up. It's supposed to be a trap play, first of all. Mm-hmm. He's the trap man, so they're trying to let him go, and 7'9" supposed to get through on the trap, but he gets in so quickly. So I guess there's athleticism to this one as well. He gets through the line of scrimmage so quickly that by the time this lineman gets here, he'd have to hold him to make sure that he doesn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then, because Gibson now has to cut to the outside because I don't know who that is. Jerry is in the zone there as well. Then that's not Jerry. That's Ed Oliver. But anyway, so because he has to bounce it outside because Ed's also he's unblocked and Logan Thomas is supposed to get him. I don't know what this blocking scheme was, honestly.
I guess it's also that double trap wham.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we got, except it's the play side tackle.
Yeah.
Or the play side guard and the play side tight end. Kind of strange. Kind of strange. But anyway, to get through that quickly into the backfield so as to blow up this trap block, and then be there to make the tackle when he cuts back inside from the backside of the line on a trap play like that, it's very impressive. Mm-hmm. So this was one of those plays where it's that's a play breaker right there to be able to get through like that. And sure, everyone else is doing a very good job on the defensive line in this play as well, but I liked what Zimmer did here.
And he also comes around and makes the play because there's the motor again. I got to say the most impressive thing to me is just the fact that he stayed on his feet after the trap block.
Yeah.
Because most times when a defensive tackle has a good get off and they shoot off the line of scrimmage and they're expecting to get blocked and they're expecting to have some counter force against them, they typically just literally fall on their face mask into the dirt.
Yeah,
right? I've
and
seen
we saw that
so
earlier.
many
Even
times.
Feliciano on his trap block, he knocked the guy over because he's not ready to get hit.
He's just unbalanced because they are like, I'm supposed to get hit, and then they're like, oh, I'm not getting hit, and then they get hit. So it's just impressive that he stayed on his feet at all. It's just very athletic, a rep from him. So yeah, the whole thing. This guy is such a gem, like diamond in the rough. It's crazy it took this long for him to get an opportunity, and the fact that he's still like only gets split snap share. But I mean,
yeah, there are definitely things that he is not as good at. He can get driven back sometimes and he'll get blown up.
He's not the biggest guy in the world.
Exactly. But he does make plays like this that are like, yeah, he definitely deserves a spot on a roster.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone said Nick G. He was also keeping up with Gibson on that long screen, that touchdown.
He was,
and he was.
He's
and I almost put that on there because he was the backside defensive tackle on that play and ran all the way across the field. And at one point was about a step away from making the tackle. And I almost did it because Matt Milano was the backside linebacker on that play, and he was about a step away at one point as well. So I almost did that as kind of a double for both of those guys. But yeah, that was a tough one. And, like I said, one more step, and I think he would have had him even still to be able to keep up with a guy like that when you're interior defensive lineman is just insane.
It's pretty funny that this is coming up about him chasing people because our first film session was that Tremaine Edmonds Chiefs game, the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
And on that Tyreek Hill long run in our first film session, we pointed out Zimmer just chasing down Tyreek Hill, and that doesn't speak to your speed and athleticism. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, even Tyreek Hill is like, the guy who was maybe impressed me the most in this playoffs is 61. He almost killed me.
Yeah, it's high praise coming from someone that fast. We know he loves to run his mouth about his speed, and when he's talking about Zimmer in that light, that bodes well for our defensive tackle.
Yeah, definitely. When you're that fat, well, not fat really, but when you're that heavy and white, you're not supposed to be able to be that athletic.
No one expects it, and that's exactly why he succeeds. Everyone underestimates him.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to my last, I guess we'll call it Spotlight series. I got the Darrell Williams versus Chase Young matchup. I thought it was an interesting matchup in general just because of how Darrell Williams had played so far this season. He's been pretty underwhelming as a pass blocker. He's letting a lot of people around that edge, even people on his inside moves are getting him. It's been underwhelming, and we saw he got picked apart by TJ Watt after obviously handling TJ Watt last year. So I figured it would be interesting to watch his reps against Chase Young. And then I found like 9 plays where it was, either he didn't really have any bad reps against him. I literally couldn't find any bad reps. Most of it was because the Bills' passing attack was meant to be just quick, methodical, moving the football. So I specifically pulled plays where Josh Allen held on to the football. So we have actually like a good pass rush rep. And this is a play that we already saw. I did the same thing you did. I was still on the StreamYard. So this is a play we already saw. This is the Zach Moss touchdown on that weird little whip route. But it's made possible because Darrell Williams allows Chase Young to go around that edge. I wish I did all 22 also, because I could see his alignment, but it looks pretty freaking wide. Maybe wide 9. I can't really tell from this angle, but you see Darrell Williams get wide in his set and then also force him around that edge and just continue forcing him upfield like we've talked about a lot on film session. We love how Deion Dawkins does that and just pushes the man upfield. And I'll run it back because I saw that just went out. But yeah, this is exactly what Darrell Williams does on this play, and it allows Josh to escape to his right, which we know he loves to do, and then creates the touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, this is one of those, this happened a couple times, really. There was another one where he was even closer. I don't know if you've got it in there, so sorry if
I
I'm
probably
spoiling this.
will. It's fine.
I won't talk about it until after then. But yes, the ability to scramble out to the right, which Josh likes, taking that defensive end around in that motion opens up that lane for Josh to run through pretty much unabated. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I always harp on it when tackles don't do it. If the guy wants to go upfield, let him go upfield and take him there. And it's good to see that Darrell Williams was doing that. And yeah, maybe he just needed a warm up game or two. He wasn't ready for
Yeah.
TJ Watt week 1. That's tough.
He didn't play much this preseason either.
That's true. Maybe he just needed a warm up, and yeah, that's no slacker of a defensive end there.
No, it's not. So that's why I wanted to spotlight it, and I wonder if it's going to be the next one. I'll speed this up so we can get to the next one. But I definitely got another. Oh, of course, I forgot to show this view. Of course. Yeah, no, here's this view. It's just, nice set here, and he just forces him outside. Good two-hand punch there, and just
good engage.
Outside. All right, let's see. Because I know he did it multiple times. And this is kind of another one, but it's a little bit different. You can see Chase Young is kind of trying to set up that swipe move where he's setting him up inside, kind of lulling him to sleep a little bit. Then he's just going to swipe over him and get outside. And right when he does that, Darrell's fleet of foot enough to meet him outside on that edge and just push him upfield. And Josh extends the play a little bit to the right and finds his security blanket, which is Cole Beasley in the middle of that zone. So yeah, another example of it, a little less deliberate on this one because it takes a little bit longer to develop, but that's exactly why I wanted to pick this play, because I wanted to show that this guy, Darrell Williams, wasn't just winning on quick passing plays. There were a lot of those, but there were also some reps here or there, probably like 6 to 7 of them, and I only showed 3. I got one more of them, but this is a nice one.
Yeah, and I have to say too, the reason that the pass blocking works so much better in this game is because they did kind of a different scheme almost a little bit. I don't know how to describe it really, but they decided to shift Morse over to help Feliciano more often than they did to help Ford, which is also another reason why Feliciano played much better and we didn't hear his name a lot in a negative connotation, was because he was getting helped by Morse a lot, who had a very good game. That does mean that Cody Ford had a pretty good game though. And this is one of those blocks where it's not a great block, but he keeps him off the quarterback for long enough for him to escape the pocket. And I mean, if this is kind of the strategy that you're going for, where it's, just keep them off the quarterback, take them where they want to go, but keep them off Josh. And that's fine because he can move around in the pocket like that. And that lane opens right up for him to climb the pocket a little bit there and make a nice play. So yeah, Cody Ford, he's almost getting beat, but he took a lot of one-on-one blocks throughout the day. And I think he handled himself pretty well.
That's a really nice point to add there because yeah, they didn't do a whole lot of helping Ford in this game. Like you said, they helped Feliciano more. Morse did, that is. And I think a lot of people were actually saying that Ford didn't play that well. And I think a lot of people said that Ford didn't play that well because he was left in one-on-ones and there were clear blown blocks. But that's going to happen in one-on-ones. It's about limiting them. And I think he limited it enough to merit continuing this scheme moving forward in terms of pass protection. I think it makes sense to continue have Morse primarily help Feliciano, but of course, if the defensive line dictates you help Ford, then help Ford by all means.
Right.
But I think this play shows that, yeah, Ford has a little bit of recovery ability to him, and he can anchor with, I don't want to say the best of them, but he's adequate. He's sufficient. He can get the job done, and I think he's shown that this season so far. So yeah, I like that you pointed it out, and that the Bills are doing it. That they're letting Cody Ford sink or swim. And I think this is the year to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And, he definitely got beat a few times. It was funny because I was thinking about trying to do Cody Ford as my biggest surprise because he was kind of holding his own there, but I saw too many reps of him getting beat and just saying, I don't know if I can put him in there as the guy that I was impressed by. But I was impressed. I think he did better than Feliciano did when they were running the same scheme, shifting to the other side where Morse would help Ford more. I just think Cody Ford's more built to be a guy that can handle a one-on-one with the defensive interior defensive lineman a little bit better because he's a little bit heavier, he's a little bit stronger, whereas Feliciano is a little bit smaller and might need that help from Morse more often. So I'm fine with the scheme that they're doing, shifting that over a little bit more. And even when Feliciano did have his one-on-ones, they weren't as bad as they were in week 1.
Yeah, definitely agree with everything said there. We actually got a little chat here from Bruce Nolan in the chat.
Hey, it's Wacky Bruce.
A little sentence here about Ford. Length and foot speed are correlative. The less of one you have, the more of the other you need. Ford's length shows up when his foot speed doesn't. And I think that's exactly why there's a little bit more upside with Ford, because he can do one or the other. Like, it's not always going to come together at all times, but I think he has a little bit more of that raw ability and those traits to win with both going at once. But if they can't, he can lean on one or the other. Like Bruce said right there. All right, let's move on to the third play.
Sorry, this is a really good comment.
No, it's to say Singletary scores on a play because of Ford's block. Would that be considered a Ford motor?
Great comment, Matt.
Yeah,
thank you.
Keep them coming.
You're on fire today, man. I've been reading a lot of your comments. You're really killing it. So I appreciate you.
All right, let's see what this last one is. I am not remembering. Oh, this is definitely the one that you're speaking of.
It's actually not the one that I was talking about. I can't even remember which play it was, but Josh took his right hand off the football.
Oh,
and
that was one of them that I was considering.
Swiped at his hand, and he still kind of like got away. It wasn't as great of a block, so I can see why you wouldn't put it in there. But yeah, that was the one I was
considering. I literally had 9 that I was considering for this matchup, and it didn't make the cut. This one was. I mean, look at him. He drives him into the dirt. He does exactly what I was saying on that first rep, where it's like, okay, you want to go around me, and I will drive you into the dirt and force you upfield.
Yeah,
it's a very simple play, a lot easier said than done against a guy like Chase Young, but Terrell just flops on him. Like, he just puts all his weight into him and doesn't allow Chase Young to use that knee and ankle bend to get around the edge, which he's so good at. And it's impressive to see Darryl get whipped into shape a little bit this early in the season, because if he can get back to what he did last year and get that pocket a little bit cleaner, it'd really be nice, because that's probably one of the more deficient things with the Bills offense this year. You can see Feliciano just get driven back into Josh right there. And
yeah, this was sorry, you lagged there. I didn't even realize that.
Go for it.
This was definitely one of Feliciano's worst reps against Jonathan Allen. This was one of the ones where I watched it. I was like, ooh, do I still want to talk about him or not? But yeah, he gets pretty much driven backward. I like it. There's a little bit of resistance, but
there's not much resistance.
Yeah,
man. Come on.
It's a good thing Josh is big and can take like a little bit of a bump as he's throwing the ball like this, because not a great rep.
The only thing I was going to add is just the fact that, Dawson Knox did drop a football there, but I'll say that ball was catchable. I don't know if it's dropped. That's really bad tough accuracy. That's behind him. He can make the catch. I don't know if I'm chalking that up as a drop, though.
Yeah, I watched this one in the end zone cam in full speed, and it's the offense is like coming toward you in the end zone cam, so you get a really good view of that ball coming across the middle and how fast it gets there and how fast he has to react to catch it behind his body. That's a really, really tough one to make. So I don't really blame him for that one.
All right, I'm going to take this guy off the screen here. And do you see what Pierre's saying? Because I believe this is nuts before we get to your favorite play.
What is Pierre saying?
He says that Chase is getting crushed down here in DC area. They keep saying he's not showing much pass rush moves, made it easy to block him this week. I mean, yeah, that might be true. But if the quarterback's getting rid of the football quickly, like, it's going to be tough to get to the quarterback. We saw that against Big Ben and the Bills. Yep. Like, yeah, we created pressure, but it's tough to get home when they're getting rid of it so quickly. And furthermore, like, this is kind of the thing that Greg Rousseau's doing right now. He doesn't really have clear rush moves right now, but he's athletic as hell, and he can win with length and athleticism. That's what Chase did in college and in the first year. He has moves, But because he's so athletic and he has really good active hands, he's able to kind of just win with that, I don't know, like wrestler style mentality where it's just like, I'm just kind of going to use my hands and get around you really easily because I'm quick enough to do it. He doesn't necessarily have to have like set in stone, like Julius Pepper's spin moves. Like it doesn't have to be like that for every pass rusher. So I don't know. I think
yeah, I was going to say that as well. And, pass rushing isn't something where you necessarily need to have like moves. You can just be big and strong, and that's fine. As long as you know where to put your hands and where to apply the pressure on that offensive lineman, you can be a fantastic pass rusher without ever doing a move, really. Maybe you should every once in a while to keep people guessing, but if you know where to put your hands to gain leverage on the guy, and if you can get there fast enough, and if you can use, his positioning and his leverage against him in the moment and, hand fight with him, those are all things that you can, hand fighting really is so important to keep his hands off you and keep your hands on him. That's pretty much the entire battle in an offensive line. It's as far as from the waist up. It's all about who can get their hands on each other in a strong position. So, it's definitely a way that you can win pass rush reps like that. And I think because he is so big, strong, and athletic, that he can be a successful pass rusher. But yeah, maybe definitely adding a couple moves to the arsenal could help, but I don't think he needs. I don't know if he needs to in order to be successful.
Right.
All right, let's move on here to my favorite play. I did not do the all 22 for this, but I don't think it matters though.
Oh, I should have done all 22 for mine.
I don't remember which one you did. Oh, I do remember now, and it did look good in all 22. Anyway, my favorite play was the Tre'Davious White strip. Just because I just love Tre'Davious White, man. This is and it's a perfect punch out.
Yeah.
Well timed. The knee was almost on the ground. But yeah, Poyer almost, kind of, he misses that tackle a little bit. But you can see right here that Trey is only concerned about punching this football out and just does a perfect job getting his hand on that football to pop that thing out. And it's a huge momentum swing when you can do something like that. Like, yeah, sure, an interception is nice, but no one really expects a fumble to happen. No. So I feel like when it's unexpected like that, it's like, oh my God, like we got the ball after they just got this huge first down completion. That's so deflating to that offense. It would have been a 20-yard gain almost.
Yeah.
And it turns into a turnover. So that's hard. And of course things were already starting to get ugly at this point. I think I can't remember at what point this was in the game, but I think it might've still been kind of early actually.
Yeah, no, let it run. You can see it's,
does the time up there?
Yeah. The time's in the bottom left in this replay that you have. I think it's like 2 minutes left in the first quarter. So that was like a 3rd and 8 and they're driving.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Early or late first quarter here.
Like that's a huge momentum swing right there. That's massive. They could have, if they kept that drive going, that could have made 7-7. Like it's a big momentum swing right there. Great pick for favorite play. I kind of feel underwhelmed by mine and a little vindictive by picking mine, but it's okay.
It's all right. I'm just a huge fan of a good peanut punch. I see it.
Oh, it's always nice to see the peanut punch. Yeah, you see it, Matt.
Couple in chat. We got people talking about the peanut punch, and you betcha Tre'Davious White has practiced it before because he's done it before. He's got 5 forced fumbles in his career, and I can't remember specifically which game this was, but I think he did it against the Patriots when they had Chris Hogan at one point. I can't remember if it was the Patriots or the Jets, but I want to say Patriots. And it was another really key play where it was like he got a first down and everything, and he was about to go, and he just punched it out. And I don't remember the details about that play, but if anyone thinks of it and knows more details, put it in the chat and we'll talk about it a little more. But this was just something where it's such a good skill to have as defensive back, and the wherewithal to think, I'm going to go punch this football out instead.
He's already going down.
Exactly. To not even think about, I just need to tackle this guy, instead being like, you know what, I can force a turnover right here. To be able to go and do that is just so smart. And heads up, And yeah, a perfect hand placement to get that ball out.
What a bang play. So happy they called it a fumble on the field,
I know.
because if this went to review, I don't think there's a way you can overturn this ruling, no
I
matter
don't know.
how it was ruled
Let's
on the
go
field.
slow-mo from the slow-mo and see really if we can get a good pause.
Like, is his knee down? Like, it's such a bang play.
Close.
Like, I remember Judge tweeted about this. He's like, "Oh, I don't think this is actually a fumble," and I'm sure he saw this clip. Like,
yeah,
it's very close. We got fortunate by getting the ruling on the field on that one.
Definitely.
Same way with the Dawson Knox touchdown. I think no matter how it was ruled on the field, they just had to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's talk about your favorite play a little bit then.
All right. So I'm gonna get on my soapbox. You pull me off whenever I have to get pulled off. You pull me off. No, we're talking about my guy Tremaine Edmonds. I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of hearing like he doesn't have an impact and that there isn't an impact that is even viewable on the broadcast, because it's obvious, guys. Like it's not every play, but there are flash plays here and there, and this is one of them. Like, we talk about his length and his ability to disrupt passing lanes, and this is one where you see it and he's actually being challenged. There's so many times where you're not going to see it on broadcast because he's in a passing lane and the quarterback just doesn't want to throw it there. But this is one where he's just making a nice individual play. You can see him biting on the run fake, but he's still filling in because he can see the run fake is literally nothing but that. He knows Milano will take the running back if he goes out into a route. And obviously he doesn't. So Edmonds is there. So he's just, okay, I'll pass rush at this point. He knows he can't get there. He sees Heineke settle into his drop and really settle into the RPO. You can see clear RPO mesh point, settles into it. There's probably a slant on the other end, and there is. So Edmonds gets his hands up, jumps early, and on his way down, he still gets the ball batted. And this is like 7-8 feet in the air. Like, what are you going to do as a 6-foot quarterback? There's not much you can do.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, honestly. Plus, who doesn't love a good completed pass to yourself?
Of course, it's wonderful.
Yeah, that can go. I think that could go in favorite play territory just because of that.
Oh, well, don't forget, I mean, from a stat sheet stuffing perspective, he gets a pass batted there and a TFL.
That is true. But another very rare occurrence. But yeah, also, while Taylor Heineke gets a pass, a completion, and a loss of yards, all in one play.
All in one play. So yeah, that's all we got from the game against the Washington football team. But there were a lot of fun plays, and it's only going to get better from here because now we got all 22.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have all 22 back. Even just going through and watching it very quickly before this show was really cool to be able to see it. Now we can. I feel like the first few weeks we've been talking mostly defensive line, offensive line.
Yeah, we're gonna get DBs. Maybe
now we can talk.
In here.
Yeah, exactly. We can talk about everybody. We can really diagnose quarterback stuff now too, because we can see what's going on down the field. So I'm very excited to be able to see what everyone is doing again. Someone commented if we have any Spencer Brown stuff. Not today. We didn't. I think he maybe had 3 or 4 times he got on the field there.
I think he was on. I know he was on for like the last drive. I don't know how long that last drive was that he was on the field, though.
Yeah, I can't remember either, honestly. But we didn't put anything in there for him. He's getting better. He definitely is getting better. I know someone put a rep of his on Twitter of him just completely winning his rep and driving a guy into the dirt, and you'd love to see that. If he can learn how to use his length properly, he's going to be really good. So I'm excited. I'm excited about him and his development. I still don't think he's ready to. If he has to fill in for an injury, I'm not going to be that upset. But I still don't think he's ready to take on a starting role yet. Yes, Pierre, all 22 is back on Game Pass. It was back today. Was the day it finally got put back on. I went and checked before, and it was there. So I said, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and go for it.
Do they have the playlist with the timestamps still?
Yes, it's a little different. The setup that they got's a
Figure.
little bit different. I know people were asking too earlier. Someone asked how we watch our game film. I do it through NFL. We do it through NFL Game Pass, which now has all 22 film back again, which is very exciting. They also have condensed versions, which is about 45 minutes long, and they just cut out everything between the plays, so it just goes basically from snap to whistle, back to back to back. So that's pretty good. And then yeah, the all 22. It's kind of like in a list. You know how you can open up the drives currently, where it's like you go down, you open up the drive. So it has all that down there, and then you can just choose whether you want to be an end zone, sideline, or broadcast.
Nice.
And then you can just click on the play to play it and go through like that. And yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Just a
that it
little
doesn't
bit
have-
different UI now, but same
Yeah.
concept of what it was.
Yeah, you can't do slow motion or anything like that. You can't go frame by frame or anything. So they've still got a little bit that they need to work on.
That's what we're for.
Yeah, we're here to complain, and then maybe they'll do something about it, or we can just take the clips ourselves and do it ourselves. but yeah, so it definitely has a little bit that could be worked on. And it's kind of annoying that you have to switch from sideline to end zone for the game film. It doesn't just do it back to back like it used to.
It used to, yeah.
So that's kind of annoying too. But it could be worse. We couldn't have we could still not have it. So the fact that we even have it is exciting.
Yeah, I'm done being pessimistic about it.
Yeah. Silas Whittle, thank you for the super chat here. Edmonds is responsible for so much as a middle linebacker in a nickel defense, and he's like 23. He's damn good now and will only get better. Thank you, Silas, because that is exactly how we feel as well. And yeah, in this system too, it's a nickel defense. I mean, Taron Johnson is almost always on the field, and very, very seldom is a third linebacker in like, AJ Klein or something like that. He rarely sees the field, and really only would do so if the game plan warrants an extra linebacker, which usually it doesn't in today's NFL. It usually doesn't warrant that, especially because Taron Johnson can play like a linebacker if he wants to. So, yeah, for him to be one of two linebackers on the field and the guy that's in charge of the middle of the field and in charge of running the defense and all this stuff. And yeah, he's so young. I mean, he's younger than both Kendall and I, and people always make fun of how young we are. So you probably more so than
a little more.
Yeah. But yeah, he's so young. I mean, he's basically still a kid. And yeah, he's had this much NFL experience already. He's had this much experience in the defensive system. And yeah, he's had success. He's had a lot of tackles. Can he get better in pass defense? Sure. Yeah. But I'm completely fine with the way that he's playing, and I know that he's going to be able to play better down the line.
Yeah, I think the key for this is like when we're talking about Edmonds is we're the first people to say that he has a lot of room to grow, but we're also the first people to say we need to re-sign this guy. We don't know exactly like what we want to re-sign him to and how much it should be, how long it should be, but we know like there's no sense in losing this guy and taking a chance on some sort of replacement that we don't know what he's going to give. We know like what we know from Levi Wallace, what we're going to get from Levi Wallace. We know what we're going to get from Tremaine Edmonds. The difference is what we're going to get from Tremaine Edmonds in the future. There's a lot more potential. There's a lot more room for growth compared to Levi Wallace. We kind of already know where Levi Wallace is, and we're okay with that because it's sufficient. But at the same token, we're okay with where Tremaine Edmonds is at, but there's so much room to grow. So we got to be patient on that. Pierre, this is literally the talking point. So here's the thing. Milano is better than Edmonds. It's impossible to say that Edmonds is better than Milano. Does he impact an offense's game plan a little bit more because of his length and where he's positioned in the field? Maybe. But Milano is currently a better linebacker than Edmonds. That being said, because Edmonds is a middle linebacker, he will probably command more on the open market. So that's kind of the interesting part of this. I think Edmonds deserves to be paid like a top 10 linebacker because like they said with Josh Allen or what Josh Allen said when he got signed, he's not getting paid for what he did. He's getting paid for what he's going to be and what he's going to contribute to this team. Same thing with Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah, and I think that kind of it can't get any worse fallacy really comes into play, which I have with John Feliciano at times, where I'm like, it can't get any worse, throw somebody else in there. But the thing is it can get a lot worse, and you don't know how bad it could be until that guy's gone. And I think if we were to lose Tremaine Edmonds and have to pull another rookie in or have to sign someone else to bring in, I'd imagine if we're going to do anything, we would get a rookie if we were replacing him, just because why would you sign someone else to come in unless he was cheap and bad anyway, which we wouldn't want to see. So it can get worse. I promise you it can get worse without Tremaine Edmonds.
This ain't the 2006 Bills. Like,
no.
Back then, things couldn't get any worse.
Back then,
like,
it's
that
like,
fallacy
shit,
isn't
man.
a fallacy. Like, that's a very real thing. Now it's like, no, like, we can get worse. We're pretty freaking good.
Yeah, there was also this comment I want to touch on real quick, Nick G. Without Edmonds, they almost have to run like a normal 4-3 defense because it's so different without him, and that might be true. Because he's athletic and big and can play the middle of the field and can play a lot of different areas. Yeah, Milano too. Both of those guys are
two guys big, cover the field like crazy.
Exactly, yeah. So because of those two guys together, I think we can definitely run more of that hybrid nickel defense like we like to do, and I think that does make a big difference.
This is a good point from Silas here. He says if Bean wasn't planning to re-sign Edmonds, he would have drafted his replacement this year. Yeah. And it's very true. Bean is very thorough with planning for the future. He talked about it this offseason. We plan for the future, but we also plan for now. Like, he's always talking about the future. He would have gotten in front of this. If he knew there was legitimate concern about bringing Edmonds back beyond his 5th-year extension, he would have done so already. And if he, like, I don't know, maybe we'll see it in this draft. But either way, I just think it's very, very far-fetched to think we're going to draft his replacement when his replacement might be a year younger than him.
Yeah, exactly. Just because of his age, I think he warrants a lot of money coming out of this contract.
And I think people are scared because he warrants a lot of money. I think people are scared by that, and it's understandable.
Very understandable. And, maybe he could go to another system and suck. Maybe he could go to another system and be really good. We don't know. But he, on the open market, because of his age and because of his production that he's had in the past, he's going to warrant a lot of money on the open market. So I think he's going to end up being more expensive just because of his age and his position, and it's going to suck. But yes, I agree with this statement, Silas, that Bean would not go into an offseason with no plan on who his middle linebacker is for his defense. I just don't think that that's something that Sean or Brandon would be really looking to get themselves into, because that's quite a predicament to be in. But yeah, I think there was one. People are talking about franchise tag as well in here. It could happen. I would rather it not, because it's at the middle linebacker position. That's going to be a pretty expensive franchise tag. I'd rather just get the deal done or not get it done. If it comes down to that point where it's like we have to do the franchise tag,
I'd rather keep him in town. But I guess I would be okay with the franchise tag for one season. They can't do it twice, though. I don't want to have a Dak Prescott situation where it's we'll get the deal done. And here's the interesting thing about the franchise tag with Edmonds: because he's so young, it might actually work out to benefit the Bills, because it's like, okay, so we have his 5th-year option while he's 24, then we franchise tag him while he's 25, then we sign him to a 4-year deal when he's 26, which guarantees him through his 30-year-old season.
Right.
That makes sense from like a timing perspective, but it's not very player friendly. Like, you don't want to do that. That's not how you build a solid culture. And they haven't done that. Like, they've been very respectful to everyone. And even like the coaches last year, like trying to get them head coaching positions, they've been very respectful and genuine to everyone that touches this Bills organization. So I don't think they would do Edmonds like that, but from a age timing perspective, it makes a little bit of sense maybe.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I love talking Edmonds because it is very polarizing. Thank you again, Silas, for that comment and for that donation.
Yeah, thanks.
I do love talking about Tremaine Edmonds because it's such a hot topic. It really gets people going. It's very polarizing, and it's something that we could probably go on
Too long.
hours. Yeah,
Too
for
long.
hours. We've done it before. We've gone on for hours before, too, actually, almost when we did our film session with him. Anyway, for those of you that are still here, thank you so much for sticking with us through this. I've seen a ton of familiar faces and familiar names in the chat, and we appreciate you being here. Before we go, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor for the show, which is NordVPN. Go to thebfvpn.com. You can get yourself a fat deal on this NordVPN right here. And one of the big things that that Rico really has introduced to us is if you have a tough time being able to watch some of the games because of the location that you're at, if you want, you can get the NordVPN. You can put yourself on a Canadian VPN and get yourself a subscription to DAZN for way less money than you can get NFL Sunday Ticket for, and then you can see every game instead of just the out-of-market ones. So go to thebfvpn.com. It's like you get it for less than $4. It's about a $12 value. It's a really good deal. But yeah, thank you again to everyone that's been here. Any closing thoughts, Kendall?
I love that you've pivoted to the DAZN thing because I actually turned on my Netflix with my NordVPN on, and I was like, where are my shows? They're not even here. And then I was like, oh, I have to turn off my VPN. And then they popped back up. So yeah, Netflix is all over it.
Netflix has really cracked down. There are ways to get around it, but it's frustrating to the point where I don't even bother anymore. But yeah, so if you want to try doing the Netflix thing, you can go for it. Maybe Netflix should just, pony up and put all the good stuff everywhere. And then we wouldn't even have to do this.
We wouldn't even have to talk about it. NordVPN would be obsolete at this point. No,
except for DAZN to watch the games and to make sure that your internet is protected and no one can trace your IP address and things like that. It does help you with safety as well. So yeah, I am a big VPN. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming again. Once again, we really appreciate it.
Yes.
This has been the Buffalo Fanatics film session with Clay Troy and Kendall Mursky. I'm Clay Troy, and that's
Kendall Mursky. I got it this time.
You can follow us on Twitter. I'm over here at Clay Troy. He's over there at Mursky Kendall. You also follow us, the Buffalo Fanatics, on Twitter at BFLO Fanatics, BFLO Fanatics. I think I got everything out. I think I did everything that I was supposed to be doing. So
that was good stuff.
Until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.